The whole purpose of having systems is to replace you. Systems are what keep you from having to work long days, weekends, and holidays.
Most plumbers fail at making systems because making systems is hard and it sucks.
If you wait too long to start making systems, then it's going to be really hard to catch back up. The only difference between making small amounts of money and lots of money is... What's up, Joel?
Hey, Jared, how's it going?
I'm doing pretty good.
Dude, it's wintertime out there.
Dude, it's freaking cold out there.
Yeah, it's really cold.
It was 42 degrees when I woke up this morning.
Yeah. Oh, was it just 42? Man, I feel like it was colder than that. I guess it was cloudy today.
It was 42. Rainy. I left my house at 7 a.m. this morning to go get my Azure Standard order. Mm-hmm. Ordered a bunch of food from Azure Standard. Mm-hmm. And it's the prepper side of me.
Yeah, the prepper.
It's actually the prepper side of my wife, Christelle.
Yeah, I was about to say, I was like, Jared, I don't really know if you have a prepper side.
So I appreciate like having stuff stocked because you don't have to go to the grocery store.
Yeah.
But I mean, maybe I have a little bit of prepper in me.
Why? Because you didn't think you did until you just made that pause right there.
Yeah, I was like, wait, freezer full of meat.
Yeah, you were starting to think. Yeah.
It brings whole new problems though. Like we got a freezer. We just bought a cow. So we're getting a cow delivered.
Dead cow.
Dead cow, butchered,
okay.
packaged.
What if you thought you got a dead cow and it was a live cow?
Like, oh.
You're like, dang
That reminds me of when my wife's grandma dropped a goat off at our house for my daughter's birthday. She was
That's
like,
awesome.
Here's a goat.
Was it like a baby goat or
Not
full goat?
It was like, no, it was baby. It wasn't huge.
When was that?
My daughter she was like her 4th or 5th birthday.
Oh, that's hilarious.
We were living at our first house that we bought. We had a chicken coop. And my wife's grandma comes over in the afternoon in her car. She's got a goat in the back seat. And she like pulls up and opens the door and out comes this little white goat. And I was like, what? No warning.
Yeah. Thanks for the text on the way over.
No way to keep this thing like, I don't know where I'm going to put it.
Just in your bed.
I don't have food for it. Yeah. Turned out we named it Daisy. It bawed all night long. Goats are very social animals, so we had one goat, and we had 2 turkeys at the time.
I remember the turkeys.
The turkeys and the goat got along, and then our dog, his name was Jones. We don't have him anymore. They would sit on the porch and lay down together. They would just hang out. And anytime you were outside, that goat would just follow you around. And it got big quickly, and so we took it to the butcher. In the back of our car, full-size goat in the back of our car.
Yep. Did you have your Scion? Was it your Scion?
Yeah. And took Daisy to the butcher, and I brought the meat home, and I made some tacos. And I probably told you this story, but not the internet peoples. And I made taco meat, dude, and it smelled terrible. Like it stunk up my whole house.
Have you ever had goat like meat before?
No.
Gotcha.
Never.
And you're like, we're gonna make some tacos with
this.
this.
And I like the second I pulled that out of the package, I was like, man, this smells funky.
Yeah. Funky like goat funky or just like funky?
It smells funky. It smells like kind of like goat.
Yeah.
Right? So I made beef taco meat and I made goat taco meat.
Yeah.
And I made my kids tacos with the goat meat. Like pre-made the tacos and I made myself a taco with the beef meat. And I sat everybody down at the table and the kids came down and they were like, what's that smell? And I was like, I burnt something.
Yeah.
And they sat down and they took one bite of their taco and they were like, what is this? It was disgusting.
Yeah.
So we ended up donating the rest of Daisy to I think we donated her to the food bank. I don't know if anybody ate her or not.
Maybe they had the same discovery as you, like, oh, what is this goat?
I don't know. Maybe somebody from a different country who was used to goat got all excited because there was some goat there.
Yeah.
But it was terrible.
Maybe you just didn't feed it a good diet or something.
Maybe. Who knows?
Yeah. Man, why did we even start talking about it? Oh, because prepper, because now you got a freezer,
got a freezer
cow showing
full
up.
of meat.
Yeah.
Okay, and it causes other problems, right? So now I got a freezer full of meat. What happens if we have a hurricane and the power goes out for a week?
You got to get your generator out.
Now I got to have a generator.
Yeah, you gotta have more stuff to put in your garage.
So
like a real man.
So I'm building a camper van right now, as you know. And yesterday, Krista was like, hey, I'm going to order this solar generator. It's a generator that you can plug solar panels into. And I was like, I'm building that, like we're basically building that thing in my van. We could just plug the freezer in the van, and the solar panels on the roof will power it. So it was a good excuse to go purchase all the stuff for my van.
So you purchased the rest of the stuff to finish your van?
Not yet.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
I'm not gonna. I'll probably just purchase the stuff to finish the solar.
Yeah, gotcha.
Because if I order too much at once, it like fills up my garage, and then
Dude.
I never get to it.
Yeah.
So I just have a garage full of junk that needs to go in my van.
Yeah.
And it just sits there. Like, how long did it take me to put the solar panels sat in there for forever? My roof fan, my solar panels, and my AC unit, and my roof rack are all on. That took me literally 8 months.
I feel like that at the start of this podcast, you were building your van.
Yeah. It'll probably be done in a couple of years.
Yeah.
At this rate.
Yeah, at this rate. And by then you'll be like, I don't even want to take it anywhere. I'm just going to.
No, I don't want to take it anywhere right now. I'll be honest. That's probably why I don't work on it.
Yeah, you don't have any need to I want to go and do these things in this van. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, but more and more lately have been like, you know what? I need a break. It'd be fun to take the camper van somewhere.
Go somewhere.
Do something cool. Do a bike trip or something.
Yeah.
Have a nice place to sleep.
Yeah, me and Ayla want to get some kind of thing like that so that we can go camping somewhere, climbing somewhere, biking somewhere, just do things like that because I think that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, you should just get a camper for your truck, like a truck bed camper.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, like a...
Or a tow behind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we always wanted an R-Pod.
Get an R-Pod, then do like you did. Remember your Tacoma and you had the roof rack tent?
Yeah.
But you had it on your bed?
Yeah.
Do that because then your kids are in the...
Yeah, the kids can go in the tent and we can go in the R-Pod.
You're in the R-Pod.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They wouldn't last. They would come inside in 10 minutes.
Dude,
mine's dark out.
Get a whip. Put a whip on the outside.
Yeah. Just hang it and be like, that's what happens if you come in here.
Okay. Last off-topic discussion, then we'll get into this podcast. We're going to talk about how to write systems for your business, okay? Because it's super important. Because without systems, you really just don't have a business, okay?
Yeah, Jared's got SOPs for his meat storage. It's
do.
just all over the place.
Yeah. So... And we're going to talk about SOPs, the whole 9 yards, everything you need to know. Did you know that the tassels on motorcycle handlebars were originally removable? I don't know if they still are removable.
What do you mean removable?
But you always see these tough dudes and then they got tassels on the end of their handlebars. And I'm like, this is big buff, tattooed,
scary looking
dude with a big beard. On a really loud bike, and then he's got leather tassels hanging from his handlebars. It just doesn't fit.
Yeah.
Seems weird, right? They were removable, and you would whip other bikers with them.
Oh, yeah.
I just learned this.
Yeah.
It's like, dang, okay, that's way more manly.
Yeah, okay, that's a weapon. I didn't realize that tassels were a weapon. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, makes sense now.
Yeah, you got to go watch Sons of Anarchy. I'm sure you'd find that in that show.
Oh, yeah, I've never done that.
Yeah, me
never watched that. Haven't seen it?
Ayla watched some of it, and I would tune in every now and again.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah, man.
Let's get into systems.
Okay. I had a guy ask me today, he was asking me so what can your program offer? And I was like, well, systems. And he's like, what's a system?
What is that?
What does that even mean?
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of a foreign concept, really.
Why?
Because... just thinking about everywhere I worked before I worked at, or before I built my company, they didn't have any systems. But everywhere I worked before I worked at my company was kind of a mess.
Can we define systems? Is there a nice definition for systems?
It's at its core, it's a way of doing something.
Yeah. Yep.
So, and what makes it a system, I guess, is that it's no longer just the way that you do it. It's actually just written down.
Sure. Yeah.
And maybe that's what turns it into an SOP, I guess, is when you write it down.
Yeah. I guess a system indicates there's a way of doing something that you should be doing this the same thing, following the same process every time.
Yes.
Now you have a system.
Now you have a repeatable system that works.
Yes. A repeatable system that works that you can then explain somebody the system, and then they can refer to the system to know what to do instead of asking you what to do.
And then what they're doing works.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. You have a high degree of, you can be like, okay, well, if they do the system, they should have a good chance at doing whatever the system is trying to get them to do.
Correct.
And then you can then start to judge other things if that person is underperforming.
Correct.
Because then you can rule out a bunch of stuff because they're just doing the system, and you know the system works.
Well, and if everybody's following the same system, right, it makes tracking everything easier.
Yeah.
It gives you better data. You ensure things that need to happen.
Yes.
Whether or not your team understands like the importance of each little thing or how they're all tied together, if it's the system and it's the way you do it and you train on it, it ensures that all of those things happen.
Yeah, and that's important to remember because like your team understanding why every little nuance in the system isn't necessary, and like your team just needs to know what to do, and then you can take all the data that you get from the system and then
Tweak the system.
As appropriate.
Yeah.
Because like honestly, like in my experience, people want to know the systems until you start explaining to them like, yeah, this is why we're doing it. And they're like, I don't care anymore. I don't care. I'm just here to work. And
this is way too complicated.
I didn't need to know all that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess in its simplest form, it is how you run your business, right?
Yeah.
And so I guess we should start with like now that they know what a system is, cha-chang.
Oh yeah,
Win
break
them.
time,
Break
story time.
I guess we can start with what kind of systems you need to start with.
Yeah,
Like I always like to just go through the chronological journey of systems, right? Because you could go look at my SOPs right now, and you could try to write them for your company, and it would make no sense.
Yeah, it might not fit.
Well, you would just end up rewriting them probably, right?
Like rewriting them entirely, or
yeah, for the most part, a lot of them.
Yeah.
Okay, and like I didn't write my systems until like my SOPs. We didn't write those until 2 years in.
would you say that SOPs are just another system? Like they would be under the
SOPs
definition of system?
SOPs are like the written form of the system,
Yeah.
so that when somebody has a question on how the system works or what they need to do, then it's written down, right?
Yeah.
It's like a manual.
Yeah. And eventually like getting your business to the point where you're not required as much, it requires that people go to something other than you to figure out what their job is.
Yes.
Which like you should end up with SOPs.
Yep.
But to start there, you have to start with some kind of systems that eventually go into your SOPs. And
Yeah,
the SOP itself becomes a system.
Yep. You have to figure out your business model and how your business does business, basically, right? Like how you do business. Like how do we do business here?
Yeah, sure.
Like how do we book the job? How do we answer the phone? How do we schedule?
Yeah,
how do we pay? What hours do we work? What software do we use? Like, where do we get our branded hoodies?
Sure.
How do we order more new branded hoodies?
Yeah.
Those are all systems that you're eventually going to have in place.
Yeah, because eventually somebody is going to be asking those questions, trying to do those things that isn't going to be you.
Yeah.
And you might not even remember.
And well, yeah, that's a good point. But yeah, you don't want them coming to you, so you put it in a manual or an SOP, and then all of a sudden nobody needs you anymore, and you worked yourself out of a job, and it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, thank goodness.
Hell yeah.
Woo-wee. Woohoo. Good podcast. See ya, dude.
Okay, so when you first start out, like when it's just you, it's like, okay, you really just need a way to track your customers and a way to track like what time your jobs are and whether or not somebody paid or not, right? Yeah. You need very minimal systems.
Right.
Like you can get away with that doing like a QuickBooks app to take payments and enter in customer data and write invoices and that kind of stuff. And then like in the beginning, we used Trello. So we would make a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday card in Trello. And then there would be a 8 to 10 card, a 10 to noon card, a noon to 2 card, and a 2 to 4 card in each day. And so the CSR would just get a call. She would enter the information, the customer information into QuickBooks, and then she would take that information and put it on the appropriate card in Trello for the time slot. And then that was on my Trello. And then I would look at Trello on my phone and be like, okay, my next job is this one.
Right.
I would text the customer, hey, this is Jared with Prospector Plumbing. It was actually J-Rod's at that time. Just so you know, I'm on my way to your house. Should be there in 20 minutes, right?
Yeah.
So that was kind of like our system. Nothing was written down, but it was the way that we were doing business, right? That was our kind of our first initial system. And that was good till, like, we used that, I think, until 3 guys. We had 3 guys hired. So they each had their own Trello account. And then, you know, it was all under the business account. So on the CSR's end, she had 3 Trello cards, 1 for each technician.
Yeah.
Inside of those cards were Monday through Friday. Inside of those cards were the different time slots for jobs. A little bit of a nuisance on her end, right?
Right.
Because then there's 3 cards and you got to thumb through them all to see what's in them. And
Yeah.
a little bit of a pain in the butt.
Not scalable.
Not scalable, right?
And maybe that's a good thing. Like, the system that you have now might not be the same system that you have at scale.
No, what gets you to $50K a month doesn't get you to $5 million a year.
Yeah. Let's see.
Doesn't get you to $400K a month. It's a different game, right?
This might be sort of off-topic question, because I'll get questions like this where guys are like, well, I don't want to do Service Titan because I'm doing House Call Pro and I like it and it seems to be doing fine. I'm just going to stick with this. And
to a point, fine.
Yeah.
Sure.
And so, like, in that sense, because those are both systems, like software is system because it's giving you a direction of how to do things.
Yeah.
But it makes sense to me that you would, tell me what you think about this. It makes sense to me that you should arrive at a system that you don't have to change. If you can arrive at a system that you don't have to change, that's good.
So, personal opinion here. I think getting on House Call Pro is a waste of time.
Sure.
Like, if you're going to get on there and you're just going to use it to track customer data and take payments and build estimates and sell invoices, fine. But you don't even need House Call Pro to do that. Like, you could do it for free on QuickBooks and Trello.
Yeah.
Right? A lot of people, they get on House Call Pro, they start building out their price book. And it's like, just, you don't even need a price book yet, dude.
And they usually get on House Call Pro because Service Titan was too expensive, or they've heard bad things about the customer care, whatever it might be. And then they go to House Call Pro because of that reason.
Yeah. And the reality is, later on down the road, if they want to grow, then they should get on Service Titan. It's the better software.
Right.
I can't help it.
Yeah.
It's a good software.
Yeah.
And they're a huge company. I don't know where I heard this, but somebody told me they were a $5 billion a year company.
I mean, they do lots of industries.
Yeah. They're not going anywhere and they're going to continue to crush it. Like, it's not going to just fail overnight.
Yeah.
It's only going to get better.
Yeah.
Especially with pushing, like, all the AI push. I know they're pushing hard on their back end to roll out AI stuff. And I think it's going to be huge.
Let me add one more thought to this, because I was talking to a guy, I think last week, and he like said a couple times on the call, he's like, well, I'm not tech savvy, so I got to show my camera or show my face. So give me a second. And he said it again. And I just, like, at the end of the call, I was like, hey man, like, can I just give you my opinion? He's like, yeah. He's like, dude, like, don't use that tech savvy excuse anymore. Like, there's tons of guys, like tons of plumbing business owners who stand behind the, hey, I'm just not tech savvy.
Yeah.
And I would say, like, just become tech savvy.
Yeah.
You don't have to become an expert, but it's required that you understand tech to a certain degree.
That was me, dude.
Yeah, Jared.
I wasn't tech savvy. I didn't know how to plug in a TV hardly.
No, and you would even like take pride in the sense that you weren't tech savvy.
Yeah.
Until you're like, dang, I gotta like learn how to do stuff.
The second I had to figure out how to use a spreadsheet, the second I realized how much power entering information into a spreadsheet can have, I was like, dude, I have to learn this stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not going to make it without it.
Yep.
And now if I can do it, they can do it.
You've become tech savvy. Yeah. And I think what keeps people from not becoming tech savvy isn't their age. It isn't what they know. It's just, there's something in their mind that says this is a hard thing and maybe it seems kind of dumb and it's what the kids do. I do it this way. And that's all just ego. Yeah. It's like, man, like wipe all the way. Just learn the tech side. It's okay.
I bet some of it's probably ego, but there's also the I'm just going to, I'm going to avoid this and I'm going to do the thing that is easier.
Or I'll hire somebody to like really do the tech side.
I'll hire somebody to do the tech stuff. But you got to understand what's going on.
Yeah.
You need to just buckle down and go, like, pull your pants up, put your boots on, go play in the mud for a little bit.
Yeah. Like go play in the mud of Google Sheets for a little bit.
Yeah, go figure it out. It's life-changing. And there's no excuse to not know that stuff.
Yeah.
YouTube is free.
Yeah.
There's so many tutorials on Google Sheets, Google Docs, Google Drive. Like, go learn how to use it.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal.
Yep. Like it's a great organizational tool for your business.
Or Service Titan. You get on, it's freaking complicated. It's a learning curve. But you got to learn how to do it. It's just part of the deal.
Yeah.
Okay. My original system, to go all the way back, I had a QuickBooks app and I had a notebook. And I would write the dates on the pages and I would write the time slots on the pages. And I would schedule people that way. That was the OG. And then when I got a CSR, it was like, okay, well, she can't see my pages.
Yeah.
So we got
pictures of your pages and text it to her.
Yeah. So we got to put this on an app. So then it became Trello. It was the only app I knew about at the time. Right. And notice I didn't overcomplicate by trying to use Trello before I got a CSR. I didn't overcomplicate by trying to get on Service Titan when I didn't need it.
Right.
That would have overcomplicated and it would have cost me overhead. Yeah. So I would have been spending money on Service Titan and I wouldn't have put as much money in my bank account. Then I wouldn't have had as much money to put into things that I actually needed to spend money on, right?
Yep.
So those are kind of your first systems. Like we used that until 3 guys. Once we had 3 guys, as you can imagine, we're getting like call volume is going up, right? We're starting to get to the point where we could almost need a 4th guy. And the CSR is having to thumb through different Trello pages to find when there's an available time slot, how many, like she's thumbing through weeks ahead of time. We're starting to get scheduled out. It's getting to be difficult and messy. It's like, okay, we need to upgrade this system. Then we got on Service Titan at that point. I was out of the truck. There was 3 guys in the field. I was able to focus my attention on getting Service Titan set up, figuring out how it works, and then we launched Service Titan. At that point in time, we have plenty of work. We're making good revenue. The expense of Service Titan is no big deal.
Right.
Right. And then like at that point in time, Service Titan or any good CRM that you're going to use almost becomes a system in and of itself. Right. So like Service Titan is meant to be used in a certain way.
Right.
Right. It's designed to be used in this certain way. It's designed to take phone calls, schedule people in time slots. It's designed to send people text messages when you're on the way, and it's designed for your CSR and your dispatcher to use it a certain way. So use the software how it's designed to be used.
Right. Yeah. Don't try to like break it with your own methodology.
Don't try to find some workaround because you don't like how they do this one thing.
Yeah, because it doesn't really, because you're doing, like if you find yourself doing some scope of work that is outside of Service Titan's system, then you should question that thing that you're doing.
Yeah.
Because Service Titan is like, hey man, that doesn't seem like normal.
Just change how you're doing it.
Yeah.
Like even if your way's maybe a little bit better, you're causing complications by trying to go not do what the software wants you to do, right?
Yeah.
So Service Titan kind of becomes its own system, right? The guys have to use it a certain way in the field. The CSRs have to use it a certain way. And then you as the owner have to use it a certain way. Just, it is what it is. So that gets you by for a little while. Like if you had 3 or 4 guys, maybe even 5 guys out in the field, and you had Service Titan and you had a CSR in the office and you were always in the office, you might be good with that. Probably the only thing I would add at that point in time would be like employee agreements.
Sure. Yeah.
So, yeah, because you're still the guy doing all the hiring. You're still the guy. You're there to answer questions all the time.
So you're saying that you don't necessarily need these systems on paper yet because you're still the guy who's doing most of the thing. So if you put it on paper, you wouldn't probably use that paper because you would just do what you do.
Yeah, and if you're going to continue to grow, you're probably going to change some of it anyways.
Yeah, so if you put it all on paper at that point, it's going to be useless by the time you get to the point where somebody else does it.
Yeah. So probably the only thing I would do like when I started hiring employees, I would probably start writing employee agreements.
Yeah.
And not like a legally binding document.
Sure.
Just a document that lays out like, what are your job duties? What are our working hours? What are our expectations of you, right? What kind of skills do we need you to have? How we're going to measure your performance, right? Are we going to measure total revenue or hours sold or what, right? And then I would probably try to work up like a mission and core values at that point. It's going to be tough in the very beginning because it's hard to think about that kind of stuff because you're just focused on like,
Yeah, you're busy.
I just want this thing to work so I can make some money, right?
Yeah.
And so your mission is like, I want more money, right?
Yeah, totally.
And
I want to work less and make more.
yeah, that's really your mission, right? But eventually the company will have its own mission and vision and
because you'll have to begin
values.
to, instill a culture within your company.
Yeah.
And even instilling a culture requires a system.
Correct.
Like if you look at big companies who've done really good with business culture, they have a
systemize
system. They're like, every day we talk about this. And like people start to just be indoctrinated into your system, your culture.
Yep.
And if you don't have a system to do that, and you're wondering like, why does my business culture sucks? It's like, well, probably because you're not actually talking about your core values.
Yep.
You know them and you just think that everybody else is just going to pick up on them.
Yep.
That's not how it works.
Yep. So when we first started hiring people, our mission was we wanted to be Fairbanks or the interiors. The interiors kind of like where Fairbanks is in Alaska. We wanted to be the interiors premier plumbing and heating company. That was our mission. And our core values were like family. I don't even know what they were. There was like 3 of them, right?
Yeah.
It was like family, work hard, and I think it was be happy because we were the happiest plumbers in the interior, right? Now, because we kind of achieved, like we are the interior's premier plumbing and heating company, we kind of achieved our mission. So we had to kind of expand that.
Yeah.
So now and we haven't quite rolled it out yet, but it's becoming, I think it's like, I don't know how I worded it, but it's something to the tune of, we are the interior's premier plumbing and heating company for years to come. So we're not only doing this today for now.
Sure.
We're building a long-term business and legacy here. Right. It's not a thing that's just going to pop up and go away.
Right.
It's here to stay. And we're going to be premier for the whole time. We're going to be the best.
Right.
We're going to remain there.
Right.
That's a long-term vision. Okay. And then our values have changed as well. Our core values are, one of them is profitability. Is a good one to have in there because it needs to be important for everybody in your company to understand we're here to push profitability.
Right.
And I don't know, I can't remember what the other ones are, but doesn't matter.
Yeah. The point is that core values are a system.
It gives you an idea of something to, like a framework to make decisions around, right?
Sure.
So
yeah, sure.
in the beginning, when our mission was become the interior's premier plumbing and heating company, it was like, okay, does this, like, I want to bring on Service Titan. Does this push us closer to our goal?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, it's probably a good decision then. Okay, we need to hire another CSR. That's expensive. But our customer service is lacking because we only have one.
Right.
Does this push us towards our mission? Yes. Okay. It's probably a good decision then, right? And then the core values, just help you align, like, what are the things that your company actually cares about? What are the things that make it tick? What makes it different? What makes it special, right? That's going to be different for every single company.
Yeah.
Because it's up to the owner.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I would probably put together some employee agreements. That way, when you start hiring new employees, it's like, hey, here's the primary goal of your job position. Like, these are the things that I need you to do. When these things are good and they're done, then these are kind of your secondary goals.
Yep.
And then if you download our playbook, by the way, the playbook we use to scale plumbing business to 100K a month, there's a link down in the description if you're on YouTube. if you're listening on podcast, you can go to wealthyplumber.com/playbook. Whew. You may have to enter www.wealthyplumber.com/playbook. And you can download our playbook. It's free. And we give you a guideline for writing your employee agreements. And let me just find it because we cover in here, I call it here we go. Oh, employee agreement framework. Look at that.
Dang. It's like you wrote it.
Yeah. So you have primary goals, secondary goals, like we just talked about. You give them a job description so they know, okay, this is my job, right? And then required skills, and then performance standards.
Yeah.
So this is what we need you to do, okay? There's a cool little diagram in here of a guy tossing a beanbag. What is that game?
Cornhole.
Into a cornhole board, okay? And you can kind of see like it's got a board here, and it says 1, primary, which would be the primary goal. It's like, okay, toss the beanbag. That's your primary job duty, just to toss that beanbag.
Right.
You're a beanbag tosser, right? Number 2, secondary goals would be make it in the hole.
Yeah.
Right? 3, job description, you're a beanbag tosser. That's your job description, right? Pretty obvious one there.
Yep.
4, required skills, must be able to throw at least 10 feet. Maybe the cornhole board is 10 feet away, right? And then performance standards, like, okay, you have to get 7 out of 10 in order to keep your job. It's an easy way to think about employee agreement.
It's very
right?
straightforward.
You want somebody to be able to come in your business and go, okay, I got to toss the beanbag.
Yeah.
I am a beanbag tosser. I got to make it in the hole. That's my secondary goal. I have to be able to throw 10 feet because the thing is 9 feet away, and I need to make it at least this many times in the hole. Cool. Now they have a very clear idea of this is what I'm doing at this job, and I'm good to go.
And it's also a good framework that when you're hiring, you have a thing that you're looking for. So you can be like, oh, I'm hiring. Let me look at what I'm hiring for. And just like, okay, this is all that, like, and you'll know in your head what you're looking for. But, you know, I've done enough interviewing, hiring that like you can get caught up in the moment of like, oh, I'm hiring a guy. I really like this guy. He seems to share my same values. And then I like really forget to just run him through the tests in my brain of like, oh, can you actually do this job? Do you have the skills required? Like, I think you're an awesome guy. But later I figured out that he didn't have any of the skills. I just connected with him on a culture fit.
Yeah.
But then you didn't run him up against your employee agreement to be like, oh, yeah, you actually wouldn't be able to do this. You said your availability isn't this. Ooh, you're actually not a good fit.
Yep.
So it serves not only as something to give your hired employees, but it also is like, hey, man, I'm hiring you. These are my requirements. Like, I have to make sure you check all these boxes before I let you in the door.
Yep. Yeah. And pro tip, at the very end of your employee agreement, put, this will change.
Yeah.
This agreement is going to change.
Yep.
When it does, I'll let you know and we'll sign a new copy.
Yeah.
Because you're going to change it. Things are going to change.
Yeah.
The market changes, the customers change, the business changes.
Your vision changes.
Your vision changes, your mission changes, your core values change. It's going to change.
Yeah. And sometimes you'll get the employees who really expect everything to be the same forever.
Forever.
And that's just what they want. Like, they want consistency, but then they also want that other side of consistency of like, well, I just want nothing unexpected to ever happen.
Yeah. And so then when you, like, for those employees, when you go to change something, they're like, well, this isn't the deal that we had in the beginning.
Yeah.
And so you need to lay out the deal is it's going to change. Then when you go change stuff and they say that, you can say, well, the original deal was that the deal's going to change. So here it is.
Yeah.
Another benefit of the employee agreement is that when you have people that do stuff in your business that isn't in your employee agreement, right, or opposite of what you want, right, you're really just trying to like lay down the foundation of what you want out of your employees. So when they don't show up on time, you're like, hey, remember in here we work 8 to 10, you signed it. How come you're not showing up at 8? They can't say, oh, I didn't know.
Right.
Well, oh, I didn't think that was a big deal. It's like, you literally signed it in here. It's a big deal. It gives you something to call back on, right?
And like any system, you actually have to do the system as it's intended or it won't work. So when you lay out those things, and if your employee is showing up late and you don't do anything about it, then you're not following your own system. And so it just weakens the whole thing.
Yes. You get more of what you tolerate.
Yeah.
So if you don't want to tolerate it, don't tolerate it.
Yeah.
But you have to be, this is a conversation we had in our coaching call the other day because I was doing a talk on company culture and it's kind of the same thing, right?
Right.
And somebody brought up this very example of, what if I got a guy that is inherently late all the time? And I said, well, if you don't want to tolerate it, you got to pull him aside and say, hey, I need you to be here at 8 a.m. sharp. If you're late, this is going to be a different conversation. But you have to be willing to follow through with, this is going to be a different conversation, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just, you're constantly telling them, hey, I need you to be here on time.
Right.
I need you to be here on time.
Yep.
I need you to be here on time, right? So it depends on, like, you got to pick your battles, is what I'm saying. Because the reality is, like, it's hard to get technicians.
Yeah.
Right. And so if you go fire everybody for just little things, and maybe being on time is a big deal to you.
Right.
But let's say they show up without their company hat on one day. Are you going to fire them over that? Everybody who walks in your shop without their hat on one day?
Depends on how mad I am.
You're fired. And you just don't put up with it at all. When it's really hard to get new guys in, I would pick those battles.
Yeah. Would you? Yeah. And that's like something where like the employee agreement is subject to change for a whole bunch of things.
Yeah.
And so maybe if you're like, I'm just trying to think of this scenario. Like, I don't know if this would actually be real, but it's just like, God forbid you couldn't get guys to show up on time that you had to alter your employee agreement. Like, hopefully enough guys can show up on time that you can still hold that in there. Like, yeah, you'll show up on time.
I think you can get guys to show up on time without firing everybody who doesn't.
Yeah.
I don't think you need to fire everybody. You can still pull them aside and say, hey, you're showing up late. We can't have that here.
Yeah.
Like, we need you to be on time. Here's why.
Right.
Right. And most people will be like, oh, okay, my boss needs me to show up on time.
Right. My boss noticed I'm late.
Yeah. Or like, hey, I'm going to have to like lower your pay if you can't be here on time.
Sure.
You don't have to fire him. Right.
Right.
So pick your battles. I had a friend growing up. He was a turd sometimes. And he would get away with murder. And I asked his dad, why do you let him do that? He would always tell me, you got to pick your battles. And I was like, okay.
Like, okay.
Now I get it.
Yeah.
I thought he was crazy. My dad did not pick his battles.
He just took everyone that came.
He fought every battle that came. And he won every single one.
Well, see, that's fine, you know? That's a good battler right there.
Maybe.
Yeah, right. Maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah, maybe not in your business necessarily. Yeah, I know in my experience that, you know, when you have a good employee, everybody's going to have some kind of wrinkle in their personality, in the way that they do something.
Yep.
And you're always going to be tolerating some level of not perfection.
Yeah, because nobody's perfect.
Nobody's perfect.
Yep.
And it's always like,
it's good enough.
The employee agreement is something where you're like, hey guys, this is the standard that you need to be pushing towards. Because I think it needs to look like something like, this is what I expect out of you. Let me help you get there. And
employee agreement needs to be minimum.
Minimum. Okay, so your employee agreement is minimum.
These are the minimum standards. If you do not do these things, you do not work here.
Yeah, gotcha.
That's what needs to be in your employee agreement.
Yeah, gotcha.
Anything above minimum needs to have some sort of incentive for them to do above minimum, right?
Yeah, gotcha.
Because you need that fine line of like, this is what we expect. If you don't hit it, you don't work here. So that they know I cannot fall below that measurement, or I don't have a job anymore.
Yeah, gotcha.
Right?
Yeah.
And then if I do better than these metrics up here, I make more money, or I get more freedom, or whatever. That's how it needs to be structured.
Gotcha.
Okay. So you've hired some guys, you've got employee agreements in place. That's good for quite a while.
Yeah.
Right? You don't really need to start writing SOPs or training manuals, we'll call it, like procedures and processes. So SOPs are just like a conglomeration of, you know, what like the history of your company, why your company exists, what it's all about, how it came to be, right? And then it's a systems, it's like processes and procedures.
Yeah.
and job manuals, all kind of combined into one document, right? And there's probably a gazillion ways to split it up and a gazillion different ways to make them. I would keep it as simple as you possibly can.
Yeah.
I would keep your entire business as simple as you possibly can. Complexity, if you start with complexity at scale, you have a complete nightmare.
Yeah.
If you start with something simple, it becomes complex at scale. So I would always try to keep it simple as much as possible.
How do you know if you're keeping it simple enough?
I mean, can it get any simpler?
Yeah. Can you and so do you have a litmus in your head that you run through when you're looking at a system? Like, do you write a system and then do you edit it? Like, okay, this is too much. How much can I cut away from this? Like, do you have a process?
So if I'm putting together like a process or a procedure or I'm implementing something in my business, I'm constantly asking myself, do we really need to do this? Like, am I overcomplicating this? Is there an easier way to go about this? Do I have to make this happen?
Yeah.
Do I really need this?
Is this the thing that's necessary? Because chances are when you're doing that, you're trying to solve a problem. And you're thinking about it like, well, will this feature, will this tool I'm about to get, this software solve this problem? Or maybe this problem is generated from something completely different. And I haven't even addressed the problem.
Or do I even need to address the problem?
Yeah, sure. It might be a, what's that title of? The thing that's distracting you from something, right?
Yeah.
There's a word for that.
Does it even matter?
Red herring or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I'm trying to think of a good example of that. So
what about price book?
I mean, your price book could get crazy complicated if you let it.
Right.
There's, think about how many scenarios of plumbing jobs there are. If you try to get every single one in your price book, your price book will be impossible to use. Right. If your price book is really hard to use, guess who's not going to use it?
Your technicians.
Your technicians.
And they're just going to go back to whatever they're comfortable with.
Yeah, it's not going to make sense to them. It's not going to make sense to the customer. It's like if you look at my price book, it's pretty simple. Like there's a lot in it, but the only things that are in it are the things that we use. Nothing else.
Yeah, gotcha.
And that's it. And it's only things that we use on the regular.
Right.
So I had a guy working for me one time. We work on a certain type of boiler called slant fin boilers. And they have a little inspection glass on the door. And he was like, dude, can you put this inspection glass in the price book? And I was like, how many have you sold of these inspection glasses in your whole career? Because I've never sold one.
Yeah.
And he's like, none, but I just ran into one. And I was like, why would I put it in the price book if you're going to sell one every 20 years?
Yeah.
Just write a custom task for it.
That's a good example, though, of this red herring where it's just you might be like, that's a great idea. You just ran into a problem. Let me just solve this problem real quick. When in reality, it's that's not even a thing.
No, not even a thing. Trying to think of another one. So you may come into here's a good one. This one drives my GM absolutely insane. The way that we calculate our business success is, are we selling enough hours?
Yeah.
So if you get our hourly rate calculator, which you can get, it's in the playbook, go grab the link, fill it out. It's magical. Go to www.wealthyplumber.com/playbook and get your free copy.
Real quick on that link in there, does that one come with the video that you talk about how to use it?
Yeah, what'll happen is when you sign up, when you grab the playbook, there's a link in the playbook to grab the hourly rate calculator because we talk about the fair price formula in here. And it's a simple formula, but then to go actually put it into a spreadsheet, not so simple.
Right.
So we built the spreadsheet for you. It's a dumbed down version of the one that you get when you work with us as your coaches. So just because it's too complicated, you'll mess it up if we give you the whole thing. You really need somebody to walk through it with you.
Yeah.
But if you go use this calculator, basically what it's going to do is it's going to say, okay, this is what it costs you to run your business. Here's how many hours you have available to bill out to the customer. Here's what you need to charge to be profitable. Okay. It's also going to, I don't know if the free one does this or the paid one does this, but the one I use says, hey, to cover operating expenses, hit 10% profit, 20% profit,
Free one does that.
or 30% profit. You have to sell this many hours. Okay. So then when you build out a price book, everything has an hour value. Okay. Right. So anytime my guys sell a job, okay, let's say they go to a house and they sell, a new toilet and I don't know, a new faucet.
Right.
Really bad example. Let's say the toilet is worth an hour and the faucet's worth an hour.
Right.
Okay. They sold 2 hours, plus there's always a half hour of drive time tacked on there.
Yeah.
So they sold 2.5 hours. So if that's the only job they did that day, we would see in Service Titan, so-and-so technician sold 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Okay. We can go back and look at our calculator and say, okay, we have 9 technicians. We have to sell this many hours
per day?
Per day or per week. You can see both. And then you can calculate it out per month based on how many weeks or how many days.
Sure,
are in there,
of course.
Right? We have to sell X amount of hours. Okay. For us, it works out to like 25 hours per technician.
Yeah.
That we need them to sell.
Yep.
Before we start hitting profit margins.
Right.
Okay. Anything above that, you hit extra. Sometimes you sell less, sometimes you sell more. It all equals out in the end. I totally lost my train of thought on this.
Well, we were talking about what drives your GM nuts.
This drives them insane. So we have technicians, they'll go out to jobs, okay? And all my guys are really good, but they're human beings.
Yeah.
And you go out to a job and you sell it to the customer and the job is worth 4 hours total, okay? And it takes them 5. Logic would tell you like, hey, you bid that for 4 and it took you 5. That doesn't work.
Right.
So a lot of people would go, I need to figure out how to get these guys to be more accurate, which isn't necessarily a bad thing.
Right.
The more accurate they are, the more hours they're going to sell.
Right.
Yep. And the better it's going to be for the company as a whole. But at the end of the day, if they consistently sell enough hours to hit profit margins,
throughout the week, sure,
I don't really care. So we can look at their daily jobs and be like, you sucked at that one, you sucked at that one, you sucked at, and they might suck at all of them.
Yeah, just because they're not projecting accurately how long a job will take.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They might go over on all of them, but they still sold their hours at the end of the week or at the end of the month.
They still sold
or at
their
the end of
25, what they needed to.
Yeah, or more, right?
Yeah.
Usually they sell more.
Yeah.
And so you could then hone in on that one thing and go absolutely nuts and create systems of like, okay, if here's your spreadsheet that you have to use. If you think it's going to take you 4, you put it in the spreadsheet and it marks it up 30% because we've been tracking, how under you are.
Historically, you're under by this much. The spreadsheet will calculate
adjust
it
it,
for you.
right?
Yeah.
You could go nuts over that, or you could be like, you know what? Hey, quarterly reports, I noticed you're under on a lot of your hours. You could probably do better on accuracy.
Yeah.
Here's how that would play into the bigger picture.
Yeah.
You sold enough hours, so you're good there, but that's one thing you could get better on.
Yeah, and then just have that conversation once instead of, because even if you have that conversation and you frame it, where you sort of made the example of like, hey, you suck at this, even if you framed it like legitimately, like, hey guy, like let me pull you aside, let's work on this, and you had that conversation over and over and over again, even if it was well intentioned and well communicated, it's still it's a lot of your time. That technician is going to be like, dude, I know. And now you're going to give me a bunch of extra stuff.
Yep.
He's going to be thinking about all that extra stuff instead of taking care of the customer.
Yep.
Like you're going to experience what is it?
It's too complicated.
Yeah, there's going to be a
That's
consequence.
really what it is.
There's going to be a consequence of this action because it's too complicated.
Yeah. Yep. And so the better, and this is where the power of performance pay comes in. So if they're paid more based on how well they perform, right, then they're incentivized to perform well. And then you can always, in your quarterly reviews with your employees, which you should be doing, if you have employees, you should pull them aside and be like, okay, this is how you're doing well. This is where you could use improvement. But when you tell them how they can improve, like in this last example, like, okay, I went and checked like 100 of your jobs. You're 20% short on 90% of them.
Yeah.
So you're doing really good. You sold your hours. You have a great attitude. I love having you here. Really appreciate you. If you want to do better, you could do better right here. Just by estimating your jobs better. And what that'll do for you is you're actually going to sell more hours, which means you're going to get paid more.
Right.
So if you remember that new truck you were telling me you wanted, or that house you wanted to buy, or I know you're working on building a house, you're trying to save up for a down payment, like that's your answer. Like just be more accurate and you got it, man. Like do that for 1 quarter and you got it. You're there, right? Much easier conversation to have.
Yeah. And yeah, definitely. And it comes from the positive side, not the negative side. It comes that the guy walks away. He's like, oh yeah, cool. This is awesome. Like I feel good about what I'm doing. And now I have an opportunity to improve something.
Correct.
And it just took one conversation.
Correct.
Yeah. Instead of muddying the waters with all these other conversations that weren't really necessary and worth the time.
Correct. Okay. So next level systems would be like, okay, I have made it to, typically it's around 6 trucks. You can get a GM. Once you have a GM and you have 6 trucks, it's like, you should probably just spend a little bit more money on marketing, as long as you have a marketing system that you can put money into, and hire a few more guys.
Yeah. Hopefully at this point you would have that.
You better.
Yeah, you better, or else
you're screwed.
It's going to suck. It's going to suck when your call volume just drops and you don't know why.
Yeah. If you haven't been working on your online presence, you don't have a good like online marketing system going, and if you haven't been working on your brand awareness, those are big mistakes.
Yeah.
Brand awareness is a bigger deal than most people think it is. It's a huge deal. It's something that you have to constantly be pushing out into the community. And it builds, it's like, I think they call it like brand equity is a good way to think about it. So you're building equity, right? And you get to pull from that equity.
Yeah.
So when online search volume is low, you can go pull from your brand equity.
Right.
And it keeps you afloat during slow times, okay? The people who aren't doing that, those are the ones that are going to have a hard time moving forward.
Yeah, and that's something that just takes time to build up anyway.
It takes time. You have to be consistent with it.
Yeah.
So once you're at that point, you've got, a general manager, and you've got probably a couple CSRs at that point. You've got 6 to 10 techs out in the field. Now you need to actually like sit down and be like, okay, I got to write systems for this thing, because this is it's a little bit bigger than you sitting in the manager seat, knowing everything in your head. Now you need to get all the stuff that's in your head on how the business should run down on a piece of paper. Okay. And that's when you really start writing your SOPs. And a good way to go about that is to just sit down and just like, number one, start, and then start splitting things up. So be like, okay, like, let's go back to my employee agreements. Like, what do I want my technicians to do? Okay, so here's the list of things I want them to do. Now, for each item on that list, let me go write down exactly how that's done. Okay, so your SOPs for your technicians are like, here's your employee agreement. Here's all the stuff we expect of you. And then there's another section on thing number 1 that I said, here's exactly how I want you to do it.
Right.
Thing number 2 that you're responsible for, here's exactly how I want you to do it and why we do it this way. And so on, all the way down the list.
Sure.
So that everything that you expect of them is incredibly clear.
Right, sure.
On what to do, why they do it, how they do it, if they need any resources to do it, where they get those resources, all that stuff is right there in one document. And then you just move to the CSR position. Okay, what do I need the CSRs to do? Right? What are their job duties? Okay, I need them to answer the phone. How do we answer the phone? Let's write a whole page on how we answer the phone. Let's create a script for them. Let's let them know, like, what are the goals? Like, what's the point of answering the phone this way? We need them to maintain customer profiles in Service Titan. How do we do that? How often do we do that. How do, like, tons of stuff, right?
Right.
There's tons of things in there, right? If you start just being like, okay, what do the CSRs do, and start writing down what they do, go write your SOPs, then you start getting questions from CSRs, then you can say, go look in your SOPs.
Right.
Well, when it's not in the SOP, that's when you go, I need to add this in the SOP, okay?
Yeah.
So it's not like a thing you write one and done. It's a thing you go...
Sure, yeah.
You go right to the best of your ability, like, this is how the company runs.
Right.
It'll give you really good insight when you go do this on how all the positions intertwine in your company.
Yeah.
Because you'll really start to understand it. You'll be like, oh, I need them to actually do this.
Yeah.
Because if they do this, then these guys can't do this. And that's lame.
Have you ever found, like, you wrote, like, what you think the CSR is doing, and then you're like, hey, check this out. And they're like, Jared, I don't do any of that. Like, have you ever had that, like, disconnect where you think they're doing something, but they're doing it, maybe not necessarily not doing it, they're just doing it completely differently, you just weren't aware?
No.
Okay, so it's like, when you've done it, you have a pretty good feel for, like, what they're supposed to be doing and how they go about doing it.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. Because I was the one there building the business, right?
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, like when I hired your wife, I was like, okay, it was a verbal agreement of, okay, we got to get the phone answered. Like, I can't answer it all the time. So you just need to make sure the phone is answered. The most important thing to think about is when somebody calls, we got to get that job booked. Right. And here's a quick script you can follow. And then she ran with it. So I kind of knew what she was doing. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. And then you're the technician.
Right.
So you know what the technicians need to do.
Because you've been there doing all the
you
things.
know how to be a good technician.
And you've optimized it, probably, because you found the way that, like, I run the calls this way, and this has worked really, really well.
Yep.
And so I know there's an ideal way to do this.
Yep.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yep. And then it's like, hey, homeboy, here's how you can run calls.
Yeah. Do you leave room in there for, like, hey, this is how you need to take care of the customer? There's areas for you to just make it your own way to take care of the customer this way.
Yeah, I don't care. Like, if you look at our SOPs, it's like, hey, here's what you're going to measure you by. And ours are, I think we have 4 things. It's, let's see, customer satisfaction is one of them. So we want them to have a 4.9 rating or higher. So if you can pull their rating right on Service Titan based on Google reviews. We want them to sell a certain amount of hours per week, average per day, right? We want them to have a good attitude. And we need them to have good attendance. And we track their attendance just so we know how to track hours sold better. Yeah. Because if they were gone for 2 weeks, their hours sold might look like garbage, right? Yep. But it's really just because they were gone. Yep. We don't want to penalize them for taking vacation, right? But if they're excessively gone, it's like, hey, if you want to make more money, you just got to not take more time off, right? Yeah. There's 5 things. I don't remember what they are. We just changed like what we're tracking. But if any of those are slipping, then it's like, hey, you're slipping here.
Right.
Everything else, if they're getting 4.9 rating on how well they're taking care of customers, I don't care if they're doing it a little bit different. Yeah. Customers are still happy. Sure. If they're selling enough hours, I don't care if they're doing a little bit different. They're still selling enough hours, right? I'm not going to go in and be like, hey, you got to change how you're doing this because it's not how I wanted it done. And, and because everybody's different. Yep. Everybody's their own person. They all got their own style. Yeah. And you'll find like your customers appreciate different technicians in your business. Yep. We've got customers that call in and they're like, I don't want that guy in my house ever again. I want the original guy I had. Right. And then somebody else will come in and it'll be the exact opposite. Yeah. It'll be the same 2 guys, but the exact opposite. Right. And it's just, they just jive with one person or the other better. So yeah. Cool. That's how we roll.
Okay. So you got, I mean, it seems like it's pretty simple, like when to add what systems.
Super simple. And it's not that hard to write. I put it off for a long time
Yeah. Why did you put it off for so long?
because it seemed really hard.
Yeah. What about it seemed hard?
You just looking at your business, it's like when I went to go write it, and the business was kind of a mess, right? We grew super fast.
And it was a mess. Like it just felt messy. Like it felt chaotic.
It was a mess because nobody was on the same page, right?
What do you mean by that?
We didn't have this smooth way of doing things. Everybody was doing things slightly different, and there were things that we needed to happen a certain way, right? So, like, going in and writing like, okay, this is the service call process. Like, this is what it looks like for the customer when they call our business to the time they pay us, to the time they get our thank you email, right? Those things make a difference,
Right.
because it's like little things like, okay, this guy didn't fill out a invoice summary on his thing.
Yeah, sure.
Now the CSR, the customer's calling, and she has no idea what was done at the house.
There's no notes,
right?
There's no notes.
There's zero notes. We have no idea. There's no pictures. There's no notes. Like, okay.
Were we even there? Who knows?
Okay, technicians need to take pictures and fill out the job summary on Service Titan.
Yeah.
Right? So it's part of like their service call journey. And then you have to go train your guys. Hey, guys, we just added this in our SOPs. Here's the deal. When you're at somebody's house, we need you to fill out the summary and take pictures, because when they call afterwards and you're at another job, I don't want to have to call you and talk to you about this job. If there's decent notes and pictures, usually we can take care of it in the office,
Right.
and it's no big deal,
Right.
So it's little things like that. So getting your guys all on the same page of like,
Yeah.
of how you do stuff, but the important stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
Like what is really important. And then maybe the guys might not understand what's important, like the notes and why those notes are so important and where they actually communicate to other members of the team.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correctamundo.
Okay. So your business was super messy. And then
It was super messy.
that was sort of intimidating, having to go in and like write all these procedures and processes for everything.
We didn't have a sales system. We didn't have like a way that we did stuff.
Sure.
And so just going in, like even just the sales system, just writing down like, hey, we follow the RISE sales system. We build a relationship, we inspect, we offer solutions, we execute on it. This is what it looks like. Then we go train on that. Okay, now everybody's following the same sales process. We go in, we build relationship, we inspect, we provide solutions, and we execute. Now everybody has a clear idea of how they build relationship. We give them some ideas, but at the end of the day, if they build a relationship, I don't care how you built that relationship.
Yeah, sure.
As long as it's not going to affect your 5-star rating or your 4.9 rating, right? So it's like identifying the things that really matter and getting them on paper, training your team on them so they know, okay, this is how the company operates. Like our CSRs know when somebody calls, we answer the phone, we follow this script, we put them in the computer like this, we dispatch like this, this is the order in which we get to the jobs, and at the end of the day, we do this, and then the next day, we repeat the whole process, right? Technicians know, okay, every Monday we come in for a quick 20 to 30 minute meeting, and then we dispatch to our first job that's on the iPad. We need to go to the customer's house, and we follow this sales process. We build the estimates on site. We don't leave to build estimates. We discuss the estimates with the customer. We sell one. We have to mark it as sold. We do the work. We collect payment. Like you'll have guys going and not building estimates, just building invoices.
Sure.
You'll have guys going to houses and not collecting payment, and then nobody knows.
Right.
And it's those things that you have to start cleaning up, right?
Yeah, sure.
And train your team on. Okay, guys, when we go to somebody's house, we have to build estimates and then mark the estimate sold.
Right.
Here's why.
Right.
Okay, guys, once you're done with the job, we have to collect payment. Here's why.
Right.
If you don't, nobody knows to collect payment unless we search for it.
Yeah.
The chances of getting paid go way down.
Right.
Plus, we got to pay you on Friday. So if you want to get paid, we got to get paid.
Yeah.
That's how business works.
Yeah.
So collect payment at the end of every job.
Mm-hmm.
On and on and on. We
Yeah,
could go
gotcha.
for forever, right?
Yeah. What was the biggest like difference that you noticed when you first wrote your systems and you put them in? Or maybe better question, like what was the struggle with putting all these systems in? Like what was the hardest part about it for you?
So it was probably a good ongoing year-long process of just, writing the systems, but then training the team on the systems.
Sure. How many times did you have to edit the systems?
Not very often. Only when something changes.
Gotcha.
Like, for my general manager, part of his systems is like, hey, here's where we get our prospector swag from. So here's the link to the hats we order.
Yeah.
Here's you take them down to this shop to get them embroidered. Here's the link to the logo that they need. Here's how many we order at a time.
Right.
Here's a link to where we get sweatshirts from. Here's a link to the logo you need to upload. Here's a link to the sizes we order. Or,
Right.
So many things like that. So like if we changed where we get sweatshirts or if we changed the logo, well, then we got to go into the SOPs. We got to say, okay, we're using these sweatshirts now. Here's the new link. Okay, we're using this logo now. Here's the link for the logo. Those kinds of things. It's little things that you have to go in and update.
Yeah.
The overall, like how the business runs and the structure of the business and the day-to-day operations, those have stayed the same.
Yeah.
Ever since.
Cool.
And it's been a slow process of, okay, we need you guys to do this little thing here. Let's implement this thing. Okay, we're not following the system over here. And it's really like, it's looking at your business every single day and going, how can we do this better?
I got a question.
Yeah.
Do all good systems have trackable elements in them?
Do all good systems have trackable elements in them?
So that you can measure the effect, like the quality of the system? Like, because what you just said there, like, oh, this system isn't performing because of somehow that, we need to adjust the system.
So I think all you need to look at are like, and this is another thing, like you need to keep what you track simple as well. So you could track 10 million different things and try to push 10 million different levers.
Yeah.
But you really need to keep it simple and track the ones that matter the most.
Yeah.
Like, are we selling enough hours? It's really just, are we making enough money?
Right.
Like 4.9 rating, like, are we doing a good enough job to where they're still leaving us good reviews? Right. Those are probably your two most important ones. And when you start seeing those things slip, or like if you're looking at your reviews, because this actually happened to us, I hired a GM and guy number 7 and 8 all on the same day.
Yep. They all showed up to work on the same day?
Showed up to work on the exact same day. The two, number 7 and number 8, they were both apprentices, 5th-year apprentices.
Okay, gotcha.
That's all I could get at the time. We have a 5-year apprenticeship in Alaska. So they were on year 5, never done service work. I'm
just imagining everybody walking in, like looking at each other, like, what do you do? I guess I'm the GM.
Yeah, it was dumb. It was worst decision of my life.
Yeah.
We had no systems. So there was no onboarding system.
Yeah.
There was no system for getting guys trained up and acclimated and
indoctrinated into the culture.
Culture. There was none of that. I didn't even know what my GM was going to do. I have no clue. I was like, dude, I do this, but I probably do it poorly, and we're just going to have to figure this out.
Yeah.
And it was a learning curve.
Man, it's cool. It shows like how much. Well, it shows a couple of things. It shows the type of person your GM Eddie is.
Yep.
To finally come and work for you, and then be like, okay, I guess Jared doesn't know what he's doing, but he trusted you enough to say, I made this choice.
I think on day 2, he told me this later. He was like, dude, I screwed up. This was a mistake.
Yeah.
Now that he's stuck with it, he's like, this is cool. It was a good opportunity.
Yeah.
He's done a lot of growing, a lot of learning. It's cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, we went through a time like after that, because it got so messy at that point. We were serving so many customers, and customers were getting dropped, and estimates were being sold but then not done, and then jobs were getting done but we weren't getting paid for it, or sometimes there wasn't even a proper invoice for something, so we didn't even know what happened at the job, right? And so at that point in time, we started getting a bunch of 1-star reviews, and it was like, okay, we got we got a problem, like we got to fix this, right? And that's really what prompted me to write my SOPs, because I didn't know at the time. I was like, I was growing a business. I didn't know what to do. Right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, you're just kind of feeling your way through the dark with the whole thing.
And I was like, okay, this is messy. It's not gonna, if we keep going down this road,
it's gonna suck.
It's not gonna work. So, what do we need to do to clean this up? Okay, everybody needs to know exactly how everybody's supposed to operate. And how the whole system works, and how to go about their job. And everybody needs to go about it roughly in the same way, so that we're all doing the things that we need to do to be successful. Right. So we wrote the SOPs, and then it was probably a 3 or 4 month progression before they really caught on. Right. They started to get in the technicians' heads and understand, okay, this is how I'm supposed to do my job. And, over the next year and a half, it made a huge difference in the way the company runs. And it just makes everybody's life easier if everybody's operating within a system rather than a bunch of jumbled up mess. It makes the customer experience better. It makes your business more profitable. It makes everybody's jobs easier. And really, it just, at some point in time, you won't be successful without them. And I think what a lot of owners would do would be to just jump back in, right?
Oh, sure. Just go and fix the problem with their own body and their own mind devoted to the problem.
Yeah, because they're workers at heart, right?
Yeah, they'll just go, I can just fix this. I'll just generate more revenue real quick and fix the problem.
Yeah,
patch the hole in the boat.
Yeah, so like when, they're doers. They want to do everything themselves. And so, like even in the beginning, like when you get 3-4 guys out in the field and you're trying to play general manager, a lot of owners will, when there's lack of, systems and training, they will just jump in and take care of it. And they'll get really frustrated. Like, why aren't these guys doing this? The reason is because they haven't told them what to do and then trained them on consistently on what to do. Well, I told them like 3 times. That's not enough. You got to tell them over and over and over and over and over. Like you got to think from the technician's perspective. They're showing up to work and they're doing what they think is a good job, right? So they're trying for the most part. Most technicians and CSRs and people you hire are good people and they want to do a good job.
Right.
And if you don't tell them what a good job looks like or what a good job is, they're going to do what they think is a good job. Whether it is or it isn't, right? And they don't have the big picture view of the whole company. So they can't make wise decisions on what's good for the big picture. They don't see the bank balance. They don't see the profit and loss statement. They don't see how many hours the company sold. They just see themselves at the customer's house doing the work. Right? And if you constantly jump back in and take care of stuff and handle stuff rather than training your team of, hey, this is actually how we need to do it because it affects the end result in this way. And if we continue to do it this way, it affects negatively in this way.
Right.
And we don't want that. Do we want that? No. Okay. So the new way we do it is write it down. Let's write these down in the SOPs. Here's the SOPs. Reference these whenever you have a question about this.
Yeah, it seems to me like a big part that guys miss is the training on the new systems.
Yeah, you could write systems all day long, but if nobody knows what's in there,
then it doesn't matter.
Does you zero good.
And that can even go to like software, like you get on Service Titan, but if you don't know enough to train somebody how to use the thing well,
correct,
and then continue to do that over and over again, then you're not gonna use the tool as well as you could.
Correct.
Like training is so huge.
Correct.
And I don't know how many, you probably know this more than me, but like it seems to me that like training in the plumbing business owner's mind is like, well, let's train on the technical plumbing side.
Yep.
Which is a part of it, sure.
Yep.
But how much is it of that, but then just training on this is the way we do things here specifically?
Training on, like we found, and some of my guys might totally disagree with me. If the technician is doing a good enough job to where the customer is happy and they're not getting a ton of callbacks, then the technical aspect of their work is usually good enough.
Sure.
Right? We found that training on how to do the technical aspect of your job can be useful for certain people at certain times.
Yeah.
And it's not something you want to neglect.
Sure.
Like if you're tuning furnaces, your guys need to know how to tune furnaces, right? If they're having a bunch of callbacks, you probably need to sit down and do some training with that guy. Right. What we found that most plumbers lack is communication skills, salesmanship skills, like how to follow the sales process.
Right.
Like I want to say technical, but like computer skills, like they'll have iPads in their hands. It's not something that they do every day.
Right.
They don't go home and like click a bunch of buttons on Service Titan on an iPad, right? So those are much more foreign to them than fixing a toilet.
Yeah.
Most of the guys can figure out how to fix a toilet, right? It's has a definite like end result.
Yeah, there's a problem. I've identified it. I know how to fix this problem. It's right here. I've been doing this for a while with this.
Even if you don't know how to fix it, it's obvious when you look at it, you can diagnose it, you can think about it, and you can come up with a solution, and you can try it, and it's obvious if it worked or not. Right? When they're filling out stuff on Service Titan, but there is no obvious right end result, well, that's a conclusion they're never going to come up with on their own, right? So you have to train your guys on it.
Yeah.
You have to let them know what the end right result is.
Yeah.
Now, whether they click this button first or that button first, who cares? As long as the end result is right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you, at some point, either start another plumbing company or buy another one, what would you just implement right off the bat as far as systems? Like knowing what you know now, like what would you just go in and be like, these are the systems I'm already going to have in my brain that I'm going to put into place right away?
So knowing what I know now, I would write the whole thing like right from the beginning.
Like would you write it in stages? Like these are systems, like would you just be like, this is the systems for the 10 truck shop?
No, I'd build the whole thing out.
Gotcha. You'd build out the timeline, or like it would be in, well, continue.
I would only do that now because number one, I know what I want.
Yeah.
Right. I know how to do it. I know what needs to be in there.
Yeah.
And I know what doesn't need to be in there.
Right.
So, I already have it for one company.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't I just go and put it in another company?
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
The problem with like plumbing business owner who isn't there yet, right? Trying to go write systems for the future, he has no idea what the future holds.
Yeah.
I already have a pretty good idea what the future of a plumbing business holds because I've already built one.
Yeah.
Right. So now, would I try and go write SOPs that I would expect to get me to 30 or 40 million in sales? No, I wouldn't expect that.
Right.
I would expect them to have to change
Yeah.
when I get to a certain point because I have no idea what that looks like. Right. I have no clue because I haven't been there. How could I? So that's kind of the boat that like most people who are listening to this podcast are in is, okay, I started a business. I know I'm going to need to write systems. I know systems are important. If you're at like the 3 truck stage and you're getting on Service Titan, you're like, oh, I should probably write employee agreements. Don't go try and write all of your SOPs because you're going to have no idea what to put in there. Right?
Yeah. It's just going to be wasted time.
It's going to be wasted time. You're going to have other things that are way more important to work on. Like at that point in time, you're going to want to work on getting on Service Titan, work on getting your price book dialed in, work on getting the 3 guys you got performing really well out in the field so you can bring in maximum amount of revenue so you can grow faster.
Right.
So you can dump more money into marketing. You're going to want to be focusing on, working on your brand, pushing your brand out into the community, developing those kinds of things, rather than worrying about SOPs.
Yeah, I gotcha.
SOPs aren't the thing holding you back at that point in time, right?
Sure.
Making money, techs being productive, hiring new guys, pushing your marketing, getting more vans. Those are the things you need to be focusing on.
Yeah.
You don't have, it's like every time you build, you need to build, make a mess, and then go clean it up.
Sure.
Build, make a mess, clean it up.
Sure.
Build, make a mess, clean it up.
Sure. So the systems almost come after you. Like you're not going to build the system and then grow into the system. It's going to be much more like you're just going to barge forward and then look back and be like, okay, let's make that work better. Because that was weird. That was hard.
Yeah, because you have no idea how to clean it up until you make the mess.
Yeah, sure. So you're okay. I understand what you're saying because you can say like you could go grab all of your SOPs and then you could write out your whole systems. You're a one truck, and you just wrote out your whole systems all the way up to 10 trucks.
Yeah,
and maybe 90% of that's going to be useless because you're just going to barge through all those barriers and be like, none of this makes sense now. Like I'm experiencing this. These are the systems I need to write.
And what ends up happening is you wasted all that time and energy on that when you should have been spending that time and energy on something that actually moves the needle for your business, right? You always need to identify what's the biggest constraint in my business right now. And that's the thing you need to attack with all of your energy, right?
Yeah.
So if you don't have enough work for the people you have, then, and you don't have any money, let's just go, you're not making enough revenue.
Yeah.
You need to go, okay, why?
Systems problem.
Am I priced right? See, that would be a terrible mistake. Am I priced right? Okay, I'm priced right. I went through Jared's calculator. I'm charging over $400 an hour. I know my prices are good. Okay, I don't have enough work.
Am I consistently charging that price?
Yeah. There's tons of questions you can ask. Okay, am I billing out enough hours? What does my P&L say?
Yeah.
How's my gross profit? Do I just need more work? Do I just need to bill more hours?
Right.
Okay, what do I got to do to get more hours?
Right.
I'm going to go attack that with all of my might. If you were thinking like, okay, I'm going to have 10 trucks soon. I'm probably going to need some systems.
Yeah, I should really work on that. That sounds like a good weekend project. Instead of attacking the thing that I know I need to do, I have this cool distraction.
Correct. But you'll come to a point where it's like, okay, I can't go any further without cleaning this up first.
Yeah.
Because this is getting gnarly.
Yeah.
My guys are out doing wild stuff. I'm getting some 1-star reviews.
Yeah, sure.
I should probably put some systems in place.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go clean this back up.
Yeah.
And you'll have a really good idea of what needs to be cleaned up at that point and how to clean it up and what the proper tools are to put in place.
Yeah.
It'd be like somebody told you, hey, I'm going to come make a giant mess of your house. You get to bring one tool to clean it up, but you had no idea what kind of mess it was going to be.
Sure, yeah. And if I got your tool off the internet, it was a mop. And
so you got
I got a mop and you showed up and I don't know what you did.
Yeah, you brought a wet sponge.
Yeah.
And we just like put powder all over your house, and a vacuum would have been so much better.
Yeah.
Right?
And I'm like, dang, if only I would have come here first before I got this sponge.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It's a good analogy.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think people look to systems, because I know we've given out your systems to a lot of people. And I know because I've talked to a lot of them, and they're probably looking to the systems because that's what they think their limiting constraint is.
Yeah, I mean, even when you like download this playbook, BTW, it's a good playbook. It's free.
BTW means by the way.
BTW means by the way.
Jared just learned it from this book I got him.
Yeah. Little plug here. On the second page of this playbook, you can book a call with my team to see if you want to get coaching. We have a coaching program. It's freaking awesome. You learn, there's so much that we can't put in a book.
Sure, yeah, because there's so many nuances of your business that require a conversation and questions.
Just like this conversation that we've had. It's like, well, if you're in this stage, you need to do this.
Yeah.
If you're in this stage, you need to do this. Don't work on this.
Yeah.
If you guys want help growing your business, you can go to wealthyplumber.com/book, or you can just go to wealthyplumber.com. Just type in www.wealthyplumber.com. Go to our website, watch a little video about what we do, and book a call with my team. And we'll help you grow your plumbing business. We'll help you put all these systems into place. We'll help you figure out what your hourly rate needs to be. We'll help you put the proper marketing in place. We'll teach you how to hire guys. We'll teach you how to write employee agreements. We'll help you step by step along the way. Shameless plug. Where were we? When you're going through this playbook, right? There's all sorts of things in here that you probably don't need to worry about right now.
Yeah, sure.
Is it excellent information? Yes. Are you going to have to do the stuff in this playbook eventually? Yes. Do you need to know this stuff? Absolutely. But you really need to get really good at determining what it is you need to be focusing on, what is holding you back from growing your business further, and what's the biggest lever you can pull in your business right now.
Sure, yeah.
What's the one thing that you can do, the one problem that you can solve, the one thing you can put in place that is going to get you farther to where you want to be, right? So there's probably like 100 different things you can do. One of those things is going to get you 80% there. Or one of those things is going to get you 50% there. The other ones are going to get you 5%, 10%.
Yeah.
You want to attack that big one. What's the big one? Usually it's the thing you've been putting off or the thing you're scared of or the thing you don't know how to do, right?
Or the thing that you might not think is possible, but you know that you probably have to do it.
Yes, correct. Or the one you're uncomfortable with.
Yeah.
Those are usually the ones. The one you've been avoiding.
Yeah.
That's probably the one you need to work on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Systems are important.
They're important, but it's sort of like a catch-22. Like they're super important, but there are other things that you might need to focus on before you start leveling hard into the systems.
So you need to focus on systems, but I guess it's at what level, right?
And each like stage in your business is going to require slightly different systems. This whole podcast has been sort of like you start with real simple basic systems and then you move on to more not necessarily complex, but they just address different things. Like they're more focused on consistency of work and people know what's going on. But like in the beginning, it's like your system is like pricing is a system in and of itself.
Pricing is a system.
And like that system needs to be super solid before if you don't have a solid pricing system, but you're onboarding with ServiceTitan and thinking about a price book, like you need to
back
up and like knock that pricing system down hard.
Yep. If you don't know your numbers and
if someone were to ask, so
like
Jared,
not even pricing, like let's just nail it down to like, okay, just knowing what it costs you to run your business and how to price your hourly rate. Like that's like step one.
Yeah.
Then it's like, okay, well, now how do I actually build a price for a job?
Right.
That's another system, right? So systems are always important,
right?
But it's like, which ones are important now?
Yeah. What system is required to address the biggest limiting factor in your business?
Correct.
And that's when you need to be focused on.
Correct.
Yeah.
100%. Dude, you're getting smarter.
I just repeat what you say.
I just talk a lot.
Yeah, I know. All right, man. Well, see ya.
See you, Holmes.